Approximately 45,000 United States Marines have been deployed in a rapid response operation near one of the world's most critical maritime choke points, the Strait of Hormuz. This large-scale military presence is centered around two powerful naval assets, USS Comstock, LSD-45, and USS Tripoli, LHA-7. Strait of Hormuz is far more than just a narrow waterway. It is basically an artery for global energy supply, with nearly a third of the world's oil shipments passing through it every single day. And any disruption in this region could send shockwaves across global markets and international security. At the center of the operation is the USS Tripoli, LHA-7, which is a cutting-edge amphibious assault ship designed to project both air power and ground forces. Equipped to carry an F-35 Bravo stealth fighter jets, attack helicopters, and hundreds of Marines. This ship serves as a floating forward operating base. Its ability to launch aircraft without traditional runways gives it unmatched flexibility in rapid response and rapid combat scenarios. Supporting this force is the USS Comstock, LSD-45, which is a vessel specialized in amphibious warfare, the hovercrafts. So this first wave of Marines hitting the region is very important. And while the media is already screaming Iraq 2.0 or quagmire, they're missing the actual blueprint, which is seizing Kharg Island. The first wave of Marines is hitting the region, and while the media is already screaming Iraq 2.0 or quagmire, they're missing the actual blueprint. Seizing Kharg Island isn't about an endless ground war. It's about the ultimate high vantage lever. Today, I'm going to show you why this move might be the only way to force a regime that refuses to listen to anything but power. And I'll show you here Kharg Island. Some of you are probably familiar with it, and some of you might not be, but it's right in the very deepest, darkest depth of the Strait of Hormuz. You can see the strait here coming around, and then I would say that is, looking at the map that I had, it's 100 miles in there or more. The location is so important because it's buried along that Iranian coast. And then the other, and you can see here, we'll zoom in really close on the island so you can see the assets here. Small island, not very big. Apparently, Iran has started reinforcing this. And this is all different oil refinery storage units. You can see a couple of piers here for loading the tankers. There's a tanker here on this map that is being loaded, actually two. So you can see the strategic importance of this. And then it looks like there's another small island here, maybe with some, logistical support. But the importance of this is massive as far as cutting off the lifeline of financial support for the Iranian regime and also showing them exactly what kind of business that we mean. Now, the other really, really important part of this is much further inland. It's a town called Natanz, and this was one of the original targets of one of the strategic strikes that the United States took. And this is where a lot of the rubble is covering up about 1,000 pounds of uranium. And you can see how far that is inland compared to Kharg Island down here. So could Kharg Island be a staging point? I don't know. Only the planners, the Secretary of War, Joint Chiefs of Staff, they will know that information. And I'm glad that nobody else does. And I'll just say, look, I spent 20 years in the submarine community. And in the silent service, we understand that you don't need to let everyone know what you're doing to do your job. And that's exactly what's happening here. If the United States Marine Corps and the Joint Chiefs of Staff want to put boots on the ground there, if they want to use the United States Army, 82nd Airborne, to also help or to possibly lead this, then that's what they're going to do. And they don't need to let any podcasters know. So we're kind of spitballing here, but I'm spitballing with a little bit of experience. The other thing I will say is a lot of these experts, a lot of these news media, they're trying to label this as a trap, Iraq 2.0. And they're really stuck in 20th century thinking. But in this new modern Trump doctrine, I would call it, this is about neutralizing multiple threats and then taking the one piece of dirt, this island, that Iran really can't afford to lose. And the talking heads are missing a lot of intel. I don't believe this is about oil. That would be too simple. I believe this is leverage that is required to recover this 400 kilograms of enriched uranium that is currently gone dark. If we hold the island, we hold leverage. And I don't believe the Iranian regime, I don't believe any countries in the Middle East understand anything but power, anything but leverage. And hopefully that the president can do that. He postponed strikes on their energy infrastructure. The president postponed energy strikes for 10 days on their infrastructure. And he basically said that they were in a talking phase here. And the media is going to report the arrival of the first Marine units. They're going to say this is tactical positioning and that we aren't waiting for a deal. Well, if that was the case, Trump would have already started with this. The United States proposal to end the war, you can see this Iranian newspaper, is saying that it's too one-sided and unfair. Well, when you're in a position of power, how much negotiating do you have to do? Iran's initial response to the U.S. proposal, which was conveyed to Pakistan, it was one-sided and unfair. Well, let me ask you this. How unfair to the Iranian people has the Ayatollah, I think we're on like Ayatollah number 6 now, how unfair have they been? Got another article here. This is the Los Angeles Times. Of course, a kind of a left-leaning paper, but we won't get into that. They're saying here that Iran has dismissed Trump's peace plan and labeled it deceptive because we're deploying more troops there. I don't know how this is deceptive. The president has telegraphed basically everything that he was going to do, up to and including maybe a little too much, just in my opinion. But the Iranian regime, these ayatollahs, the mullahs, they only understand one thing, and that is power. And the president has been using peace through strength. So far, it's worked. Got another article here. Iranian state-linked media says Tehran has formally replied to the proposal. And this is a 15-point proposal. It talks about getting rid of nuclear capabilities, keeping the Strait open. And I'm not so sure that Iran is going to play ball with this. They might just be forced into this deal. And I don't know about you, but it's kind of like your local city government. You don't want to pay property taxes, but if you don't, they take your home. And the Iranian regime has a little more to lose. Now, the Iranian people are actually dancing in the streets and celebrating this help because they want freedom. They want to be able to have the same liberal ideology that we have here in the United States. And they've tried to set their own conditions, but I'm not so sure what kind of leverage Iran has right now. This one little canal, for some reason, they think they control it all, but I think they've quickly learned that maybe they're not in charge of as much. And for the last 47, 48 years, Iran has never won a war, but they've never won a negotiation. And right now, they're losing every negotiation because they are running out of cards on the table. They've got some cardboard cutouts of the Ayatollah because no one has really seen who's in charge there. No one knows who is in charge of Iran. No one knows who is pulling the strings. So that in itself is a little bit of weakness. And like I said before, the media is going to run with the narrative of a forever war, because that is what will leverage hearts and minds here in the United States. More importantly, that's what will leverage opposition to the president. And I'm not so sure that game is working, because polls are showing that the president is polling about 59, almost 60% in support of his handling of this Iranian regime. So they might be running out of that. This is a current satellite image of the traffic flowing through the Straits of Hormuz right now. And you can see the green ships there, the green triangles are tankers. Those are oil tankers. Red is just container ships. You can see the traffic is starting to flow. A couple of days ago, this was basically empty. So something is working. The Trump doctrine is working. And if it wasn't, this would be empty. Look at this. This is just tankers, oil tankers coming in and out. That's a hell of a lot compared to what we've seen. And you can see here around Kharg Island that there are even tankers around the island going to and from the island. So the flow is there. Now, what they're charging for this, I can't answer that question. I can only speculate that Iran is still charging basically a ransom for entrance and exit to the Straits of Hormuz. I do believe that with this leverage that we have here with the United States Marines, the United States Army, that this is going to change the game. The president doesn't deploy troops without an end goal. And as far as I know, this is the only real deployment, large-scale deployment of troops that he has had in his 4.5 years. I mean, I'd like to get your opinion on this. Do you support sending troops to the area? At some point, do we have to address the Iranian regime? Do we just keep ignoring it? Do we go in and get this uranium that is there that needs to be returned or destroyed? Because if not, it puts a lot of lives in danger. Uranium is some bad stuff, especially whenever you combine it with an explosive device. The potential there for a dirty bomb is immense, and you don't want it falling into the wrong hands. But I believe by the president postponing the strikes on the energy structure, he showed Iran what he could do and what he will do if they continue to pressure him. But ultimately, this might be the real answer. This might be the leverage that Iran has to see before they do anything. That's up to you to decide. I'd like to say thank you for tuning in. Smash the like and subscribe button. If you want to join the channel, a member, scan that little barcode up there, and I'll see you in the next video.